How's it going, YouTube? This is Emrod. Welcome back to the Empire. How you guys living? Awesome? Eagerly waiting in anticipation for me to drop a video? Yes, of course. Sorry I haven't been consistent as have been lately, or maybe I've been more consistent. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've been out of town this past weekend, and one of the things I actually did this weekend is the purpose of this video now. I actually went and saw A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, telling the story uh, about Mr. Rogers. We all know who Mr. Rogers is. I mean, he's been on TV for over 30 years. that actually learned recently. But he was played by the Indomitable. No, not Indomitable. The class act Tom Hanks, and I thought he did a really good job on Mr. Rogers. I mean, because let's face it, there's not too many people that are like Mr. Rogers. You know, there's just so many. I mean, there's not really anybody quite like him. Even Tom Hanks himself, and we know Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is pretty much a genuine nice guy, great actor. But even he himself said that he was humbled just by Fred Rogers' character. So, hold on a second. So, I just want to give you a quick rundown before getting to major movie spoilers. So, basically, the whole movie was about. I mean, everybody read it in the articles by now. Basically, it was not really told from Mr. Rogers' point of view, but it was told by his friend, who's a writer in New York, John Vogel. Yeah. If I'm wrong, just correct me. But he was sent to do a piece on Mr. Rogers, and basically that's the whole premise of the movie. It's just him, and it's him and his time getting to know Fred Rogers. So, but all in all, I mean, honestly, what can we say anymore about what we expected from this movie? I mean, we are pretty much getting what we expect, but I would say even more to a degree. So, if you don't want to hear the spoilers, this is where you stop right now, and we're gonna get into it. So either you watch the movie now, pause the YouTube video, watch the movie now, and then unpause when you come back so you can hear this. Oh, you watched the movie that fast? Okay, let's get to it. So basically, this whole movie is actually, the best way I could summarize it is like it's set up as like an episode of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. How he comes in the door, how he sings, "It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, beautiful day in the neighborhood." You know, would you be my neighbor? You know, I don't remember all the words, but which I thought they really did so well, because even in like going from one scene to the next, they actually had the little models of the buildings and the cars, and they transitioned that way. And I thought it was a really nice touch to that. But basically, how Mr. Rogers starts off is he talks about how people get into fights and how people can get hurt, and then he opens, he shows his friend's picture, and he said, "This is my friend. He's gotten hurt in a different way through his life," and basically cuts to his friend, how he's having trouble with his family, specifically his father. And from that, his editor, his boss, editor-in-chief at, I think it was Vanity, or something like that. It was one of those well-priced magazines. sends him an assignment to do a hero piece on Mr. Rogers. And at first he's like skeptical because he's like, how some adults at that time would be like, you mean the fluffy guy? Not the fluffy guy, not Gabriel Iglesias, but like the children's TV show guy. And so his boss thought it was best for him to do that, since his work wasn't really truthful. Like, he was just basically, he was like this shy of exploiting everybody he wrote about. So that's why she thought it would be best for him to go write about him. It'd be good for him. And he goes down to the studio where they actually filmed the show, and it's funny. He was doing a piece on the show, and then he was like, let's try to figure out, let's see what we can do here. It's like, hi, Lloyd. Yeah, I forgot it's Lloyd, not John. John's his father, I believe. Yeah, John's his father's name. He's like, hi, Lloyd. He just, and that was funny, but it was also good to see that, because he, Mr. Rogers, and like, you know him from his TV show growing up, and you know how he was always accepting of people, and how he always wanted, he was always helping people. He's like that on and off the camera. Like, I can't see a man who just goes like that on camera and just turns it off and just is a completely different, I can't see that, because he's just so genuine in what he does. And one of the reasons I respect Mr. Rogers is because I saw this clip of him fighting for children's education, and back in the 60s, I think, when he wanted to start a show, and he gave a really good disposition, and the judge agreed, and he ruled him in favor to start the show. But anyways, but Tom Hanks playing that role, it didn't seem off to me at all. Like I said, Tom Hanks, to me, he's like one of the few genuine actors that, sure, he can play a part, he's played different parts, like we know, like Saving Private Ryan, we know Castaway, we know even Toy Story. But even in all those roles, and then some, he's so genuine. I'm not saying that he's like all the characters he played, but he's that type of actor where you can tell if he's genuine or if he's totally fake. And he's always genuine. He's always nice. He's always willing to do things for people. He's just, what can you say bad about Tom Hanks? Just name one thing. I'll wait. Yeah, I heard that. Nothing. I heard nothing out of that. So that's why I think he was perfect for this role, to play Mr. Rogers, because he took that genuineness to another level. So basically, he sees Lloyd. I forgot to mention, Lloyd has like a busted nose or something from a fight with his father. And he wasn't really, Mr. Rogers wasn't really too concerned with the interview. He was just more concerned with Lloyd. Like, who hurt you? He said it in a nice way. He's like, what happened? Why did he hurt you? Who hurt you? Why did he hurt you? And when he heard it was his dad, he's like, oh no. Like, he was like, that's terrible. Like, he wasn't siding with Lloyd or against him. It was just like, he was just like, oh, that's a bad situation. And over the course of the movie, well, Lloyd doesn't get enough questions out of him that first time, so he has to find other times to meet up with him, and then but Mr. Rogers just keeps. He's not. I'm not saying that he's not interested in the questions. He does answer some questions, but then he asks him about the things that's going on with his family and how how he's trying to help him deal with the tension in his family. So there's this one scene in the movie that I almost cried at, where he and Lloyd are at a Chinese restaurant, and basically Mr. Rogers just says, "I like to take a minute and just think about the people that I love," and just silence. Just think about that. And they actually did that in the movie. There's no dialogue in the movie. I've never. That's unheard of for me. Like, there's no music, no talking, nothing. It's just silence. Like, not only those two doing it, but everybody else in the restaurant is doing it. And it's like you look in Tom Hanks' eyes, playing Mr. Rogers at that moment, and you're like, wow, that is so deep. I mean, it just made me think about everybody that I love, and it just makes me think of all the people that I could love better. And so from there, from that scene, Lloyd actually realizes like he should try to get along better with his dad, who's actually at the hospital at this point. So basically, from there, it's like Mr. Rogers indirectly, like he didn't directly, I would say he didn't directly mediate in his family, but he indirectly helped, because he just wanted to get Lloyd to see the positive side of people. He wanted to, like, even in the some clips, like he said, like his wife actually said, his wife who played I don't know who's played his wife in the movie, but she actually told him, oh, he just gets up every day, reads scripture, prays for a lot of people, and he's because Lloyd actually said, like, what's it like being married to a saint? And she's like, I don't like when people call him that, or he's not a saint. I mean, he has a temper like everybody else. He gets just as angry, but he just, over the years, he's learned to control that better. He learns to take the anger and make it into a positive, which I feel like that's what at least I myself need to do better. Like, I can get so angry at times that I just don't want to talk to people, and I know that's not healthy, but I know I need to find positive ways to deal with that anger. Like, get rid of anger first of all, and turn it into a motivating to help people and help myself to love better. So I mean, like, near the end of the movie, basically it all comes together nicely. Like, Lloyd reconciles with his dad. He apologizes to his wife, because they weren't having too many problems, but it was like he kind of like left her there with her dad at the hospital, and that's bad. Only because he wanted to see Mr. Rogers and kind of confront him, but it all turned out good. Even through his mistakes, he saw, okay, I messed up, I need to make things right. I understand that what I've done is not cool. It's not cool at all. So I got to make it right. Even with my dad, who I don't want to say the reason why he doesn't like his dad, but it's a pretty heavy reason. But he goes to his dad and talks with his dad for like honestly the first time, and his dad on in his home hospital bed, I guess what you call it, he was just regretful of what he'd done to hurt his son. And I mean, I think that's beautiful. I think that's beautiful. I don't think too many people can forgive that easily nowadays. It's just everybody. I just think this movie is really needed for what's going on, especially in our country today, where everybody is just voicing their opinion. I know I'm voicing my opinion right now, but I mean like voicing their opinion solely for the purpose of to try to get people on their side, instead of saying what really needs to be said. And what really needs to be said is we need to stop fighting with each other. We need to love each other. We need to, even if we disagree on something, let's disagree in a healthy way, not in a mob mentality, not in a argumentative way, to where you're like cutting ties with certain people. I think that's foolishness, honestly. I mean, I just think we just need to, I'm including myself, I think we just all need to learn how to forgive better and learn how to love people. So there, I forgot, there's this one scene where they were going to Mr. Rogers' apartment in New York where he was staying. They took the subway because Mr. Rogers, he takes public transportation everywhere. Like Lloyd's like, "Are you worried about taking the subway? Because you're kind of a celebrity." And he's like, "I've never really thought of myself as a celebrity, or something to that effect." Or he never let his fame, how well known he was, he never let it affect that character. All he had in mind was to teach kids. Really, in this movie, he was teaching adults too, but just to teach people how to care for one another and how to love each other. But I love that scene on the subway because a lot of kids saw Mr. Rogers just sitting on the subway and they just sang his theme song. Like a few kids started like, "It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood," and eventually it built up to basically the whole subway car singing his song. And what did Mr. Rogers do? He was just laughing along and just enjoyed the moment that people actually knew him and actually knew what he did. So I thought that was cool. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, basically, yeah, his friend, like I said, reconciled with his family, even through difficult hardships. They got it all together, and they just pretty much forgave each other, and I don't want to say live happy after, but they at least reconciled and fixed their broken relationships. So that was good. And it ended the way it ended basically Mr. Rogers' fashion. How he, after everything is said and done in the episode, he takes his sweater off, puts on his suit, takes the sneakers off, his routine, and then he exits through, and then you just see him exit through the stage, and then he just the movie just basically ends with him, playing some piano. And another fun fact, I didn't know this. Mr. Rogers, all the music you hear on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood was composed by him, because he does have a degree in music. So I found that really cool. And there was this one scene where Lloyd like woke up in their house. I forgot why, because he fainted or something. Um, and he heard like piano playing, and in their living dining room, I guess, they have two grand pianos. His wife was on one piano, he was on the other, and they're like, I think they were like they were like playing together, but it sounded like they were kind of like dueling a little bit to me. So I thought that was kind of funny to me, just how they have two grand pianos right there, and they're playing like I can't remember who it was. It was a very famous composer, or at least a composer that if you heard his name, like, oh, okay. But his music was intricate, so that's why I thought it was pretty cool that he wrote all the music and stuff like that. Not only that, but he actually controlled the puppets too. King Friday, what's his name? Daniel Tiger, did all the voices for it. It's just this man did it all on his show basically. But all that to say, I highly recommend you guys watch this movie. If you didn't already. If I spoiled it for you, I'm sorry, but even if I spoil it for you, you need to see it. It is a must-see, and frankly, I say it's a must-own. Like, this is a movie that we don't have movies like this nowadays. We don't have. I mean, we have feel-good movies, but we don't have movies where. It's really about, like, the feel-good movies is really like the romantic movies, like two people fall in love, and I mean, that's good and all. But it's like, apart from that, we live in a society that we just violently disagree. Can I just say that? I mean, it's not really physical at times, but the way we just spit out our disagreements, it just seems violent. And I feel like we don't treat each other with respect. I mean, yes, there's some things I could say that I don't agree with on certain issues. I won't say that here. I don't want people to hate me, but I just feel like we need to treat each other with respect, and I feel like we should follow the Mr. Rogers model more, because he wasn't acting on the show. He was being real. Like, he was praying for Lloyd. He was praying for his family by each name, even his father. Like, he was praying for them. Like, we don't do that. We don't do that. And I feel like we really need that. We really need that as a society, because we're just totally selfish. We just don't care, and it's just heading to a bad place, an even worse place than where we are now. I just feel like we need to have that Mr. Rogers mentality. Now, don't have to act like him. You don't have to be like imitate him as in his voice and stuff. But I feel like there's some, if not most, characteristics that he's done that is, well, one, not only it's actually biblical, it's actually following a scriptural standard, but it's also the way that we should treat each other. It's actually found in the Bible too, how we should treat people. So my grade for this is A plus. I mean, it was phenomenal. Like, it wasn't like, obviously it's not like action packed or anything like that. Like, I love like my Star Wars or Avengers, but it's a movie that I would highly recommend, because we just need to take time and slow down and think about other people in our lives and how we can treat them. How can we help them? How can we relate to them? We should think about outside of ourselves and really appreciate and help the people in our life and love them more. So I mean, that's it for this movie review. I hope you liked it. I want to do more movie reviews. Honestly, the next one I think I'm going to do is obviously the new Star Wars movie, but I could possibly do other movie reviews. Just let me know what movie. You can suggest any movie. Well, any movie within reason. And I'll watch it. I mean, I watch movies a lot, so I mean, I can review it easily. So, but yeah, go check out go check out Mr. Rogers. Go check out A Day in the Neighborhood. It's out in theaters right now. It's well worth your time. Well worth your time. So this is Emrod signing off. Catch you citizens later. Peace.